listeners?
Sure.
I'm not going to reference what happened, but I'm going to say, Skylar, A for effort,
Oh yeah.
F for execution.
Yeah, we'll see if he picks up on what that was about. I told him about the game we played last week, Skylar. You got eliminated.
Oh, that's going to my greatest hits of
Great.
youth ministry.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, we are so excited that you're here at the house party. Unfortunately, it's snowing again.
Is it?
It will be on Wednesday night. But it's not supposed to be a lot of snow. It's just like supposed to snow kind of for the next 3 or 4 days.
The chance of snow went away on my weather app, so we'll see.
What? So
It's gonna be freezing.
Talk to Chad. Chad hates weather apps because they don't actually analyze data at all.
Well,
All they do is just pull stuff in, and that's like me giving you this book and saying, "Here you go, Stetson. Believe it all."
that's a normal thing that you do. You
sometimes
recommend books for me to read.
I do. But like, if you didn't have a brain to be able to think, or you didn't have like an education to understand what it is you're reading, that's basically what the weather apps are.
So you were implying that if you gave me a book, I don't have the intelligence to understand the book. Is that
No. This is what I'm saying. If there was a book with just a bunch of jumbled words all over the place, you wouldn't be able to make sense of it.
That's true.
You need an editor and an author to take all those words to tell a story.
That's true.
So, weather apps, they don't have anybody telling the story. That's why Chad has a job,
That's true.
right?
Yes.
Chad.
All right,
And so
we'll see.
Chad himself said that we should be getting some really good weather this week. It's supposed to
Okay.
be really cold.
All right, we'll see.
Anyways,
Yep.
welcome to House Parties.
Yes.
We sorry.
We sorry.
We are sorry for the digression, but let us digress no further.
Okay.
All right, got a couple announcements for us real quick.
Yep.
What do we got?
Well, we got our missions trip.
Uh-huh.
How many spots do we have left? Do we know?
It's like under 10.
What? Oh my gosh! If you want to come, you got to sign up.
I know. And
Now.
we're going to actually start meeting in April because we're doing the trip in July. So we'll probably do like an April, May, and a June meeting just to kind of train and prepare.
That's cool.
I know.
We've never done that before.
Well, we haven't, but I think it'd be really cool to.
I know.
And to do some fun nights like laser tag and
Yes.
call it leadership development.
Yes.
How to.
Are we gonna shout orientation things while we play laser tag?
No guys in the girls' room!
Here is the packing list. 4 pairs of pants.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Be pretty good. But if you guys want to go, get signed up.
Yep.
It's seriously going to be so amazing. It's not even that expensive. And if money is a prohibiting factor, let us know. We would love to help you figure out how to pay for that. We got people at our church who are just incredibly generous and want to help.
Yep.
But reminder, it's only if you have a legitimate financial need.
Sure.
Right? No buying an iPhone and then telling us you can't pay for mission trip.
Right. Yeah.
If anything, we'll tell you to go sell the iPhone and then get a flip phone and then use that money you got from the
Flip
iPhone.
phones, those were so cool.
I wish they're came
coming back. They're coming back with the bendy screens.
No, I want like dumb phones back. Like I love having a smartphone and like there's so many reasons I'm grateful for it. But I spend way more time on my phone now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And like with kids, it makes me wonder. It's like, what kind of world are they growing up in? What kind of world are you growing up in?
With bendy screen world.
Bendy screen. And then we got another announcement too.
Next week is student night,
That's right.
which is awesome.
And so we're all going to be meeting down at Zoe's from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or is it 6:30 to 8:30?
It's 6:30 to 8:30, but it'll be the first one of this year.
Since December.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the last 2 have got snowed out.
That's
like
right.
It's like that snow cycle. Every Wednesday night we get canceled on
That's
stuff.
right.
But we're going to do it even if there is a blizzard going on. I'm still going there because Ben cooks really good food.
That's true.
Yeah. So we got dinner. We'd love to encourage you guys, invite your friends, bring them. It's going to be super fun. I know our friends from out east are coming, so it should be a really Hovland and all them.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I ran into Hovland at the gym at like 4 a.m. this morning.
Whoa.
I just worked out and I was
She
sitting in.
strikes me as the person who
I was sitting in the sauna,
Yeah.
and I had my headphones on. I'm in my world, and she just reaches over and goes, Pastor Nate? And it took me a second to realize. I'm like, Hovland!
Nice. That's
Hey.
really cool. She's awesome.
She is pretty
She's
cool.
so cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think that is actually it for announcements.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, we got some slices! All right, what do we got? What do you got?
Someone accomplished a world record recently, and it was for the most M&Ms stacked on top of each other.
15?
Uh-uh.
More?
5.
5.
6.
6 is
Yes.
the most.
Yes. Isn't that crazy? It's like, this must be harder than I think. And I know by bringing this up, I'm sabotaging any home group that has M&Ms there, because this is what they're going to be doing for the rest of the night, is breaking the world record, because it's only 6.
They're not gonna do it. Like, I think it's these things are engineered to not be able to stand on top. Like, and you can't mess with it. It's not like you can't crush it a little bit. Like, they've got to be perfect little spheres that will not stand.
No tampering. But
6.
It's only 6.
I don't know, dude. That's like,
I've got M&Ms at my house. I might be up late tonight.
That's like Tom Brady only won 6 Super Bowls. I don't know how many did he win? 5?
I don't know.
6?
I don't know.
I don't either.
But it seems doable. I think you guys could break a world record.
If you guys do it, make sure you're recording it, because they're going to need some video proof.
Doesn't a Guinness World Record officiant have to be present in order for the record to be counted?
Is it like...
But who are they?
Is it like becoming a wedding officiant? You just go sign up online?
You don't even do that.
Like, can you imagine like a world record person coming to Greeley, Colorado, because a group of middle school and high school kids is like, we're gonna do 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then they're here for hours while we can't do it.
We're like, we can't even get 3.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I bet you guys can't even get 4. Yeah.
Can't you marry yourself in Colorado? Like, can't you officiate your own wedding?
I don't think so.
And can't you marry yourself in Colorado? I thought I remember reading that. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. We'll get lost in a rabbit trail of thoughts with that. What's your slice?
I'll Google it later. All right. So I had a slice I wanted to share, but I realized I can't share it. It involves the Olympics, but I'll share it with you later.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be really good. You'll laugh really hard.
Okay.
But it's just not, it's not appropriate for here.
Okay.
But it involves the Olympics. But the one that I did want to bring up, like, have you heard of Wordle?
Yes.
You see everybody posting it? Like, I love Wordle. I play Wordle every day. I'm sure you guys do too. The New York Times bought it. Basically, it's like, there's a 6-letter word and you get 6 chances to try to guess what it is. And like, it's super kind of cool. Anyways, Wordle saved a woman's life.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago.
How?
All right, so context.
Or you could just leave it there and keep it mysterious.
Yeah, it saved her life.
Right.
No. So there's an 80-year-old woman who got kidnapped by a 32-year-old naked man and held at scissor point in her house for 20 hours. Yeah, I don't know what this guy was on, right? So 80-year-old woman, 32-year-old naked man holding her hostage with scissors.
Okay.
And Wordle saved her.
All right. How?
Here's how. Every day, like, this woman was obsessed with Wordle, so she would always text her daughter her score and how she did. And so 2 days in a row, she did not text her daughter her Wordle score, and she goes like, oh, I'm really concerned about my mom. So she sent the police over there.
Wow.
Police show up, find said 32-year-old naked man holding this woman hostage with scissors.
Naked scissor man?
Naked scissor man. Take him out. Obviously, lock him up, free the woman. But yeah, like, a crossword puzzle from the New York Times saved a woman's life.
Wow.
This last week.
What did they do for those 2 days?
I don't know.
They had to take like lunch breaks or something.
The guy?
Both of them. Like, you get hungry, you have to go to the bathroom, and that seems complicated. It's like he's standing with the scissors.
Like, I want to know what kind of scissors are they? Like the scissors my kids use, just like a little pink pair.
Yeah.
Don't move, lady.
Yeah. The lady's like, "What do you want?"
Or is it like my wife's hair cutting scissors, which are really, really, really sharp?
Well, for sure. Like, I'm not doubting like the danger of scissors, but she's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, I haven't really thought past this point.
And I'm trying to picture, like, did he show up to take her hostage naked? Because, like, what's that walk like from your car?
That's true. Yeah.
And did no neighbors notice this?
Right.
I mean, I got so many. I want to talk.
Did he get inside and then undress, or did he?
Do you think we could get like a video call with this guy here for house parties?
Probably shouldn't do a video call. All right. We've spent too long on this. We got to move on.
All right. Well, hey, Stetson, why don't you introduce a little bit of what we're going to be talking about for the next few weeks?
Yeah. If you guys remember a few series ago, we walked chapter by chapter through a book of the Bible. We're going to do that again because it can be really hard to make time to, like, open up our Bibles. Maybe some of you have never done it before. If you haven't, talk to your leaders about that so that they can, like, show you how to, like, know where to find the place in the Bible.
Also, use your phone. Got handy dandy Bible apps.
For sure. And like, if you've never read the Bible before, you probably don't even have one. It's totally okay to use your phone. Like, I'm gonna.
And if you want like a physical copy, let us know. We'd love to buy you one.
Yep, for sure.
But we, really like our heartbeat is to help you guys fall in love with the Bible. Like I love the Bible. Like, it's like one of the few books that I can read over and over and over again and find new things, right? Because it's this thing that God has given us not only to get to know Him better, but also to get to know ourselves a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just like when I'm in a season where I need wisdom or guidance or even like inspiration, like I can go here and like God has literally given me this thing that says like, well, here's my heart for you.
Yep.
Here's what I want you to know, and here's who you are, and here's who I am, and here's how you discover like life and joy and peace and happiness. So we're big fans of the Bible, and so instead of just talking about topics, which is fine, we want to do that too. We actually want to spend time opening God's Word with you guys because, one, we want you guys to fall in love with the Bible, but two, we think that you guys actually have some really great insights into what this book actually means that you can then use to teach us and to teach your friends. And so, we just figured it'd be really fun to do that. So the book that we want to go through with you guys is actually called 1 Timothy. It was written by a guy by the name of Paul. And if you know anything about Paul, like he was an apostle, right? He used to be this dude who persecuted the church, killed a bunch of Christians, but then like he met Jesus and like everything changed. And then he became this evangelist, this church planner who really brought Christianity from Jerusalem to the rest of the world, right? He took it to Rome, right? So you actually are here tonight because of Paul. Now, Paul was just like a brilliant dude. He was this amazing leader, and he had this heartbeat for training up younger leaders, right? He wanted to see them really kind of step into the full potential of who God had called them to be. And there was this one young leader that he was kind of like a spiritual father to. Like he was a guy who traveled around with him. It was a guy by the name of Timothy. And Timothy was a young leader in the church. And Paul wrote these series of letters to Timothy and actually to a whole bunch of other young leaders to just really encourage them, to build them up, and to help them figure out, like, here's how you lead. Here's what it means to follow Jesus. Here's how you tell people about Jesus. Here's the way things work.
Yeah, which is cool. And one of the reasons why we picked it is because Paul is talking to this young person. Like, Paul's this powerhouse, and he's basically saying, you can do everything I'm doing. And we believe the same is true of you guys too. So we hope you like it. It'll be cool.
Yeah, and on that too, like, thinking about Timothy being like this young leader, that's kind of the way that we see a lot of you guys too. We know some of you guys, you're still exploring faith. Other you guys are maybe a little bit further along, but we believe that God doesn't wait until you're older to use you, right? He doesn't wait until you're like fully equipped to be like some kind of a leader. It's like, no, like you can lead right where you are right now, like in your family, with your friends, in your schools, on your teams, even here in your house party, right? You have the ability to do that. And so like our hope is that as we go through this book, you just might see like, this is how I can be a better leader. This is how I can love Jesus more.
Yeah.
So each week what we're going to do is we're going to basically take a chapter and we're going to walk through it. So we're going to do chapter 1 tonight, and then next week at student night we'll do chapter 2, and then we'll do the next couple chapters in subsequent weeks, but it should be fun. All right, so you want to give them a little refresher of kind of how this is going to play out?
Yeah, so Nathan and I, we're just going to point out maybe a few parts of the chapter that we think are interesting. You can spend your time looking at those if you want to, or you can just totally ignore everything that we've said and go on your own journey after you read through it. But you and your leaders, you're just going to read through this chapter and be like, oh, this is cool, let's talk about that, or what questions do you have? So Nathan and I were just basically getting the conversation started and passing it off to you, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Cool. So there's really kind of two things I think that we're talking about that we saw in here that we really wanted to hit on today. So maybe I'll hit on mine first, since it kind of comes towards the beginning, and then you can do yours.
Great.
Cool. All right. So I'm gonna read this little passage for you guys. It's chapter 1, verses like 3 through 7, and then I want to talk about why I think this is significant specifically for you guys. So this is what Paul says. He says, "Now as I urged you when I was going to Macedonia, remain at Ephesus so that you may charge certain persons not to teach any different doctrine, nor to devote themselves to myths and endless genealogies which promote speculations rather than the stewardship from God that is by faith. The aim of our charge is love that issues from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. Now certain persons, by swerving from these, have wandered away into vain discussion, desiring to be teachers of the law without understanding either what they are saying or the things about which they make confident assertions. Right? So apparently, Timothy, he's here in Ephesus. Paul had kind of left him there to be a leader. And there were these people who were kind of trying to say, like, hey, I'm a leader too. Like, I'm a teacher. And they were making all of these kind of claims about who Jesus was and about who God was and about what Christianity was all about. And the problem is, like, none of those things were actually true. Right? Now, some of these people, they were charismatic. Some of these people were probably popular. Some of these people had some big followings. I mean, obviously, like, Paul was hearing about it, and he wasn't even there in Ephesus with Timothy. And so what Paul is saying to Timothy is like, bro, like, don't let this happen, right? Like, be super, super careful about who you listen to and about the influences you allow into your life. And honestly, the people that you allow to speak to other people in the churches, because not everybody actually knows what they're talking about, right? Sometimes the information they give, it's actually pretty damaging for people who are trying to figure out what it means to follow Jesus. And here's why I wanted to bring this up for you guys. Now, a lot of you guys have these phones, right? Like, any of you guys on TikTok? Yeah, I mean, who's not on TikTok, right? Even if you're not on TikTok, you still watch TikToks, right? You just go to YouTube to watch them. But if you were to, like, look up bad Christian theology on there, or anything about Christian theology, like, I promise you, you're going to find a lot of people who have these really, really, really big followings who are saying things that God doesn't actually say in the Bible. Like, I'll give you a couple examples, right? There are people, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, where, like, you pick any kind of social media platform, but they go out there and they make these claims that, for instance, God hates gay people. And, like, they will, like, quote Bible verses, and they'll be so authoritative. And no wonder the world thinks that the church hates people who identify with the LGBTQ community, because there are these people who claim to be teachers, who claim that this is what the Word of God says, but it actually doesn't say that. Right? And then, like, on the other side, you've got people who are saying the exact opposite thing, right? Going like, no, God fully embraces this. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually great. God celebrates this. And it's like, well, that's actually not in the Bible either, right? When you actually look at the Bible, something like that particular topic, it's way more complex. It's, like, way more gray, and it's like, like, you can't just make these sweeping statements that it's all this or it's all that. Like, you got to have somebody in your life who could actually help you navigate that and walk through that. And here's why I bring this up. You guys are surrounded by so many people, whether it's random people online on social media, whether it's people who are just super eloquent and have a really big social media following because they're very attractive, or, like, fill in the blank, whatever it is, but, like, they make these statements as if they're true. And if you're not careful, these things that they say, that they proclaim, they actually start to become things that you yourself believe. But what if those things aren't actually things that are true according to what God has given us in His Word, right? So as young people, like, you guys are super, super impressionable. You got to be careful who you listen to. You got to make sure that the people who are teaching you are actually people who are credible. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with young people just like you guys, even people a little bit older, who will make these statements, and I'm like, where on earth are you getting this from? It's like, well, I saw this YouTube video, and I'm like, okay, that's my thing. You know what I mean? It's like, but you got to be careful, because these things, once you begin to believe them, like, they're really hard to unlearn.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we got to make sure that, like, the people we're listening to, right, the people who are investing in us and speaking truth into us, the people who are telling us what this book actually means, they got to be people who actually know what they're talking about, right? And so Paul writes that to Timothy, going like, dude, be careful. People are impressionable. You're impressionable. Like, make sure that the things they're listening to, like, they're actually legitimate. And so that's something that really kind of jumps out to me. And I know it's in the introduction of the book, so a lot of people typically kind of skip over the introductions, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I think sometimes the most important things are at the beginning, and again at the end.
Can be, for sure.
So that's something that jumped out to me that I think is maybe worth talking about. Like, maybe even in your groups you talk about, like, hey, who's influencing us? Right? Who are the loudest voices that shape our view of faith and of who God is? Is it me and Setson? Is it Pastor Allen? Is it the Bible itself? Or is it your friends at school who probably have never even gone to church? Like, speaking of which, maybe you should invite them to student night next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I think everything you just brought up is a really big reason why we're doing another series going through the Bible. I mean, like, the countless times you and I have had a theory or belief about God or our faith, and then we look at the Bible and we're like, oh, no, that was way off. Like, Nathan and I, we've oriented our whole lives around this book, and it hasn't failed us. Like, it's so
when in a world that feels so unstable and unpredictable, like, there's something so grounding about going, like, man, my view of truth and of life and of hope and of God, like, it's not in what I feel, because what I feel, like, it changes. Right, what I like, it changes. Right, you know, there was a day and age where I didn't want to have a beard. Now I do. Right, you know, like, our preferences, they change, but the one thing we know that never changes is who God is.
Yeah,
and the things that He's given us in this book. And so, like, this is that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, there was a day where I wanted hair, and now I don't, which is why
I don't think you want hair,
which is why I shave it.
That's right. He chooses to be bald.
All right.
Yes.
I'll just bring up one quick thing because I want to give you guys time to go through it yourself. But Nathan, he already talked a little bit about Paul's story. Like, he was just like, he was this religious elite. He had the Bible at the time memorized backwards and forwards, and he hated Christians. He was literally dragging Christians out of their homes and taking them to prison, where they would ultimately die. Like, they would get stoned to death, or they get thrown into the Colosseum to, like, get killed. Just like all these, like, terrible things. And then Jesus shows up and says, Paul, why are you doing this? And it's like, you're killing the people who are following me, and I'm legit, so you need to stop what you're doing and, like, follow me. And when you actually encounter Jesus face to face, there's, like, there's no argument against it. And so he totally turns his life around. But it's that story that is behind what he says in verse 15, where he says, the saying is trustworthy and deserving of full acceptance, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the foremost. Like, I don't know if he had nightmares of the things that he did to other people.
I assume he did.
I'm sure he's like, even though he met Jesus, he's probably like, I don't know if he was just haunted by the things that he's done, but also just overwhelmed that after all of that, Jesus still loves him and wants him. And so that's something that you could explore. Is like, I don't know if you're carrying guilt for anything or shame for anything, but I doubt you're dragging people out of their homes and killing them. and Paul is like, in the Christian tradition, Paul is like pretty up at the top of just like our heroes of the faith.
I saw this interview, I think it was with Jeffrey Dahmer. You know who Jeffrey Dahmer was?
It was a serial killer?
He's a serial killer, right? Like, so this guy, like, killed so many people. Like, it just horrendous, like, one of the worst in U.S. history. But he became a Christian, I believe, in prison. I think it was Dahmer. I think it was Dahmer who did. And if not, I'll put the little title up here to say the actual name. But, like, this guy actually became a Christian in prison. And, like, he started converting other people in the prison. And there were some people who were like, I'm too bad. He's like, dude, I've literally done X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And if Jesus can save me, he can save you too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I, like, that's like, when I think about a guy like Paul, I'm like, the reason he's credible is because he's not like this goody two-shoes who just did everything right. Like, I mean, technically he grew up in the Jewish religion, but like he had blood on his hands. Like, he had a lot of regret, a lot of shame, just a lot of hurt and heartache over what he had done. But like, if Jesus can save that guy, like, and Paul's like, dude, I was the worst of all sin. I was a hypocrite. I was a liar. I was a murderer. Like, if Jesus can save that guy, right? And so Paul going like, if he could save me, like, man, like he could save you. Like, if he could forgive me, he could forgive you. And I love that you bring that up for students, because like, we've had the conversations with so many of you where you feel like Jesus doesn't love you anymore because of something you've done. Guys, that's just not true. Right? There's nothing you can do to out-sin the grace that God has for you. There's nothing you can do that's ever going to make him love you any less. Like, his love is not contingent upon your performance at all. It's contingent on what Jesus did at the cross. It's his performance.
Yep.
That thing's done.
Yep.
Right. So, like, you're loved. Like, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not an excuse to not run to Jesus, but like, it's something to hold on to and to remember as we continue to pursue him.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about doing this is we could just go on and on and on, but we probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
We should probably give you guys some time to dive in for yourself. Yeah. If you want to go off of what we just brought up, that's great, but just read through the chapter and see what sticks out to you and have fun.
Yeah, and we'll send a couple questions to your house party leaders in case you get that awkward silence, which inevitably comes every once in a while.
Yep.
Usually around the time when you ask people who wants to pray.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Skylar, you're praying.
Yes. He's a good prayer.
I bet he
love
is.
it when Skylar prays.
It's honest. Really it's authentic. Yeah, I love it. All right, guys. Well, hey, we will see you next week down at Zoe's for student night. Bring some friends. Come hungry because we're going to have some good food.